This show is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find the other great shows on the network, head over to the deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
What is going on, and welcome to Take on the World Lockup, episode number 2. Take on the World is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To check out all the great shows on the Deluxe Edition Network, go to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. While you're at the deluxeeditionnetwork.com, check out the podcast of the month, which this month is Horsing Around, the Red Horse podcast. These guys are hilarious. They cover conspiracies and monsters, ghost, real life stuff. Check them out. I love listening to them. I don't miss a show, and you should neither. Check them out on deluxeeditionnetwork.com. Go to the podcast of the month, and you'll have it right there, Horsing Around. I knew going into this that this would be one of the prisons I cover. It is such a unique place, and trust me, you never want to find yourself here. Most of you don't want to find yourself in prison at all. However, this would be the least likely place that you would want to be. And if you're here, well, you pretty much frickin' deserve it. Off the Colorado Highway 67, the U.S. highest security Supermax prison, ADX Florence, sits in the shadow of the Rocky Mountains. It's called the Alcatraz of the Rockies, and it's called that for a reason. It's inescapable. Just 2-hour drive from Denver, this facility is operated by the Federal Bureau of Prisons, U.S. Department of Justice, the United States Penitentiary Florence Administrative Maximum Facility, UPS Florence ADMAX, in Fremont County, Florence, Colorado. The prisoners here, now we're talking serial killers, terrorists, mobsters, cult leaders, drug kingpins, serial killers, and those who are deemed too violent to live among the general prison population. They live in near continuous solitary confinement. As Robert Hood, a former warden of ADX, told the New York Times in 2015, this place is not designed for humanity. I think by being here, day by day, it's worse than death. ADX Florence opened in 1995 on a 37-acre complex. This high-security prison has held some of the most dangerous and evil people known in the United States. El Chapo, the Mexican drug lord and head of the Sinaloa drug cartel, is known as one of the most powerful drug traffickers in the world. Terry Nichols and Tim McVeigh set bombs, ultimately killing 168 people, including 19 children and babies. Nichols received 161 consecutive life sentences for his role in the bombing. He's housed at ADX Florence. Tim McVeigh was housed at ADX Florence before he was moved to another prison and died by lethal injection in 2001. Richard Lee McNair received 2 life sentences for attempted murder, and burglary. All of that wasn't enough to put him in ADX Florence. The reason he ended up there was 3 successful escapes from federal prisons. That's what landed him at ADX Florence. The Boston City Marathon bomber is housed here. Theodore Kaczynski, also known as the Unabomber, is housed at ADX Florence. Harold Nicholson, a CIA spy, ended up being a double agent, secretly working for the Soviets. When he got caught, he got sent here. Ramzi Youssef, who planned the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, is also here, as is Zacarias Moussaoui of the 9/11 World Trade Center conspiracy. As of August 2022, there are 341 inmates housed at ADX Florence. Most are confined 23 hours a day in single cells with facilities made of poured reinforced concrete to deter self-harm and are under 24-hour supervision. The ratio of custody staff to inmates is 2.5 to 1, and that's just where security starts. There is 1 inmate per cell. The cell is 7 foot by 12 foot, and everything in them is made of steel or forged in steel reinforced poured concrete. Each has a stainless steel sink combo toilet, as well as a shower, all with automatic shutoffs. The beds have handles for attaching 4-point restraints. All cells have solid exterior doors with closable slots, allowing for meal delivery with little or to no interaction between inmates and staff. And an interlockable interior cell door. Both doors are not meant to be open at the same time. The cells are reportedly soundproof. That way, prisoners cannot communicate with others on their block by talking or tapping out codes. Psychiatric evaluations, spiritual guidance, and other services are also provided through the door or via telecommunication. A 2014 report from Amnesty International found that prisoners routinely go days with only a few words spoken to them. Each cell reportedly has a 4-inch wide window, constructed in a way to allow light in, but gives no view of anything outside except maybe the sky. The step-down unit, the cells are similar in size, but have no interior cell door and open directly into a common area. Each unit has an observation cell used for suicide watch and attorney-client phone calls. Each unit also has a medical exam room and a law library cell. Every building is equipped with motion sensors. The floors have pressure sensors to track where people are walking. 1,400 remotely controlled doors control movement inside the building. Inmates spend no more than 10 hours a week outside their cells. When they're outside their cells, to the most part, they are restrained. The most dangerous inmates are confined to their cells 23 hours a day. There are 6 levels of confinement at ADX Florence. Range 13 is a 4-cell section of the RHU, the restrictive housing unit. It is the most restrictive and most isolated area within the prison. The control unit, Bravo unit, is the most secure housing unit. Inmates in this unit have had behavioral issues within the prison. Inmates in the control unit are isolated at all times, including recreation. They remain in their cells 23 to 24 hours a day. Behavior is evaluated monthly. If an inmate does not maintain clean conduct for an entire month, the inmate does not receive any time served for any days of that month. There are 78 cells in the control unit. The Special Security Unit, Hotel, or H Unit, for inmates who have Special Administrative Measures, SAMs, imposed on them. These SAMs are a result of judicial orders, and they result from incidents where individuals threaten a witness or present communication concern, such as being a leader of a gang or involvement in terrorism. Special Housing Unit, SHU, or Charlie Unit. A SHU is in most prisons a disciplinary unit. However, ADX Florence has not used their SHU for that purpose since 2016. ADX's Special Housing Unit is for inmates who have newly arrived at the facility and for additional individuals from the control unit. The general population units are Delta, Echo, Fox, and Golf units. They operate similarly to control unit with some additional privileges, including up to 2 hours out of their cell. Inmates are typically locked in for 22 hours a day. The step-down unit, Joker, and step-down unit, Bravo, inmates are still confined to their cell most of the day, but are permitted limited but direct contact with other inmates. Kilo unit is the least restrictive housing unit at Florence ADX. It primarily houses inmates who are designated to ADX due to concerns regarding their safety, including high-profile inmates, and or those who may be a threat or a target to other inmates, therefore cannot be housed at another institution. To be eligible to be placed on Kilo unit, inmates must have no history of assaults on staff and be incident-free for 3 consecutive years. The control unit phones are limited to 2 15-minute calls a month to close family members. Each call costs $3.45. General population are limited to 3 15-minute calls a month. Prisoners are allowed 5 visits each month under strict circumstances. When inmates do get outdoor exercise, each unit is treated slightly different. Control unit has an outdoor recreation area consisting of 6 narrow, empty concrete spaces. For the general population units, outdoor recreation is a large, deep concrete area with cage ceiling and 5 individual dog run style outdoor cells. Inmates are confined to separate cages, but are able to see and speak with a limited number of other inmates. The step-down units and Kilo unit are the only housing units where individuals are not physically separated by cages or entirely isolated during out-of-cell recreation. Individuals in the unit are also provided additional recreation time, which is split between both outdoor recreation cages and indoor common area, where up to 8 inmates are permitted at one time. In Joker unit, inmates receive up to 3 hours outside their cell per day, while in Kilo unit, as the least restrictive housing unit at Florence ADX, inmates receive up to 7 hours out of cell time per day. For hobbies, inmates who are permitted to have access to paper, pencils, pastel crayons, watercolor paint, as well as yarn, plastic hooks for crocheting. Inmates are required to pay for all supplies by submitting a special order form. Some inmates have access to a TV in their cell. They are small and color and can view recreational or other programming on the Nexus system, which is presented on closed-circuit television. Step-down units have larger televisions in the common area. The CCTV has 83 channels and includes channels with programming and information from the facility staff, as well as channels with sports, news, and other entertainment channels, including 9 music channels. Inmates also have access to movies from Netflix and DVD, but are restricted to a PG rating, and they're presented through CCTV. Recreation, education, religious services, psychological service department provide content made available to the inmates through the CCTV. Each department has a designated channel through which it plays taped information and other programs throughout the day. The recreation department has 2 channels that play music and present wellness information and programs, including programs for step aerobics and yoga. Food services reports that the facility spends $3.50 per inmate on meals each day. Heart-healthy and vegetarian meals are available, and vegetarian option includes soy burgers and patties, and tofu. In Joker and Kilo units, inmates receive their food trays through a barred wall separating the common area from staff. All other units are fed through food slots in the door. When in prison in general, almost every aspect of your life is controlled. However, ADX Florence has taken that to an extreme. The level of control and security is beyond anything seen anywhere else in the United States. So much so that Great Britain's courts refused to extradite Julian Assange back to the United States because they felt he would end up at ADX Florence, and that would be oppressive because of his mental health. Assange was at real risk of suicide and was not satisfied that the U.S. prison system would be able to prevent him from ending his own life. Over the years, many human rights lawsuits have been filed against ADX Florence. Whether or not you agree how this prison is run, there has never been an escape, only 1 homicide in 2005, and only 8 suicides in 27 years of operation. While it may not be the most pleasant place for the convicted criminals who are housed here, it certainly does keep them separate from the general population outside its walls. So do you feel safer knowing there's a prison like ADX Florence out there holding the worst of the worst criminals in the United States? If you're watching this on YouTube and you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Comment below if you think ADX Florence goes too far or not far enough. Consider subscribing to the channel, please. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, please give us a 5-star rating. So we took on ADX Florence, America's most secure Supermax prison. Now you go take on the world, but don't get locked up doing it.
This show is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find the other great shows on the network, head over to the deluxeeditionnetwork.com.